Hello heathens, and welcome to my channel. Please do forgive the background noise. I have idiot neighbors who are setting off fireworks, and I've had a very difficult week as it is. And earlier when I planned on coming up to record, we had a severe thunder and lightning storm, the likes of which prevented me from being able to do so. So I waited, came up now, and now this. Unfortunately, I couldn't hold off or wait any longer to do so, so please do forgive the background noise that I wish I could prevent. Anyway, I wanted to apologize for being a little bit, for being a little bit, not as active lately. At work, I've discussed this before, where I work in the medical field. Every 3 months is a very difficult cycle, March, June, September, and December. But once a year, between June and July, is a particularly difficult cycle for me because of the nature of the work I do, and it requires a lot of very stressful things that I have to deal with. And on top of everything that's been going on, this year has just been the worst I have ever experienced in my tenure in my job. So I do apologize for my not being as active per se. I'm hoping next week it won't be quite so bad, but we will see. At the very least, I want to put up at least 3 videos a week until things calm down a little bit at work, and then slowly make my way back up at least to 4, if not 5. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, for those who are new to my channel is about 3 things. I either do educational content through the medium of cosmetics, I do readings like I'm doing tonight, or I demonstrate magical practice, or just other useful tips that may help you if you are especially starting off in a ritual or pagan path. So with that said, I did shuffle this deck off camera. I figured I'd spare you that long, lengthy process. And tonight I wanted to do the reading that I had promised I was going to do for Tuesday, and then things went to hell. For what is the world, how is the world's consciousness changing and evolving with everything going on? We've been seeing a lot of transformations and metamorphosis going on, and I just figured it might be a nice little thing to, forgive my puppy. This is one of those nights. To take a little look and see what and how the world's mindset is changing. So, with that said, let's get into this. And, okay, Spirit of Spring with, okay, some of these cards are up and down, but a number of them are horizontal. Aurora Garden, Temple of Dreams. I'm just laying out a few cards here, and then I'll start getting into the divination aspect. Kindred Spirits. Mountain Lights. The Green Man. Resurrection. Seer. Come on, be kind. Thank you. Full Moon Temple, which today is July 3rd. So we are going into that full moon cycle right now. But let's just take a quick look here and see what I can discern. Okay. We are seeing, I think a number of readers are going to agree with me that, of course, 2020 is a huge transformative year. A lot of things are changing in our world, in our society. With Spirit of Spring, it brings out freedom, action, and power. So a lot of the things that have been coming to our attention and our focus, a lot of people are actually acting on those things. And whatever action they're putting into it, whatever energy and effort they're putting into it, it's really amping up and causing actual change. Now, that's not to say it's going to happen overnight, collectively. That's going to take time. But we're seeing a strong shift, not just in the mentality of people, but in its effectiveness to affect change, not just in people, but potentially even in so far as governmental aspects as well. So with Aurora Garden, we see beginning, initiate, origin. I see very much a return to our roots, and I have said in previous readings that I have been seeing a return to some sort of tribalism. Now, the one thing that I want to emphasize, that just as a word of caution, I don't want society to take tribalism too far where we revert back to segregation. Because I think if we revert back too far, we're going to see these conflicts and cycles of prejudice continue. With the tribalism that I've been seeing personally, it's been a lot of people returning to their roots. I've discussed many times on my channel that we are, all of us, people within tribal beginnings and tribal origins. The predominant collective whole that is people of Caucasian heritage is a lot of our tribalism got taken from us with the spread of monotheistic religion. And because of that, a lot of our heritage, a lot of our traditions, and all of that have been lost. You have, personally, I have some Celtic heritage. So going back to Ireland and Celtic, Scottish traditions, a lot of them became illegal because of the UK taking over those areas and forcing their religion on those people. In Celtic traditions, we had Druidry. Well, the Druids passed down their knowledge by mouth. They didn't write things down. So, between the research that archaeologists have been doing and anthropologists have been doing, as well as just doing our best to try to figure out those practices that happened within our own tribal pagan communities. We're trying to rebuild those traditions to some extent. And yeah. But anyway, we see this heavy amount of people, and I've been seeing it a lot, not just people going back into paganism, but a lot of people going into their ancestral heritage and their roots, both in their spirituality, in their mentality, all of these things. But I urge people to try to not let that cause a rift and divisiveness. It's one thing to voice, these are our ancestral heritages and everything of that nature, but the more divisiveness and the more segregation that we see, the more we're going to see these perpetuating cycles of oppression, abuse, all of that kind of thing. And in order to end that kind of thing, it's important that awareness and education happen. Because the more people consider themselves separate from one another, and I'm not just talking about racially, but culturally and all of that kind of thing, instead of seeing us all as actually one people. All of us belong to this world. All of us belong to this planet. Unfortunately, a lot of what you know what? I'm not going to say that part. That'll be a conversation for a different video. But I've been seeing a lot of divisiveness instead of collectiveness. And I just don't want to see us as humans taking that too far. Obviously, we need to be made aware of sincerely important issues in order to end oppressive nature of our government and any after effects that oppression has had on society. So, I hope I'm phrasing this how I mean it to come across, but tribalism is coming back around, but just try not to make it so that it goes too far into that segregation. Temple of Dreams, Sacred Dreams, Prophecies, Dream Journeys. We're seeing a lot more people opening up to their intuitive abilities, and we see a lot of people actually being able to see things that are happening, things that are coming to fruition. A lot more people are reporting dreams of things that are coming. So if you are one of those people, I encourage you to start a dream journal and start recording that information and look things up as you can and take notes. Kindred spirit, spirit companionship, guides, comfort. And I think this ties into mountain lights, light beings, portals, subtle energies. We've been seeing over the last decade or so light workers, more and more light workers coming into fruition on this planet and in this time frame. And the job of a light worker is to help guide society how to work with one another and allow for love and companionship, I guess you could say, to become stronger than divisiveness and hate. And I get the feeling that those light workers, be they physical or spiritual, they can even be in the form of ancestral guides, are really acting as the guides for society right now. I am a light worker. I am not the only one. There are many of us. One of the ones that I absolutely love her content is the Tarot Priest. If you have not checked out her channel, I highly recommend it. I resonate very much with her, both in her messages and her energy. I believe she's also an empath, so I do recommend her. I love her content and channel. The Green Man, Rising Energy Surge, Fertility. With this, and we've been seeing it, that society is reverting back to a more natural-based mentality when it comes to healing, when it comes to what you put in your body, all of those kinds of things. And I really feel that a lot of the processed foods and things that we have been consuming over the years has potentially even impacted our reproductive health. We've been seeing more and more people struggling to conceive and having fertility issues, so it's entirely possible that that can be playing a role into balancing hormone levels and all of those kinds of things. So again, I am not diagnosing anybody. This is just a general intuitive comment. This is not personal or a diagnosis in any way, make, shape, or form. That is between you and your healthcare physician. But I get the feeling that more and more people are going to start reverting back to organic, having gardens, producing their own produce as much as possible. Especially where produce can be very expensive to purchase. It's less expensive to grow it. It just takes time, and you have to learn and redevelop the skills in society to preserve any extra produce that you can't eat right away. Resurrection, comeback, rebirth, renewal, which falls in line with everything I'm seeing up to this point, with this huge rebirth cycle. The Seer falls in line with these two cards specifically, with people giving a lot of guidance and assistance to people and trying to help guide people. And Full Moon Temple is celebration, peak, transcendent moment. So there is coming up, I don't know if it's going to be this year or next year. I get more of a feeling it's going to be next year, that we are going to see a lot of people have this big aha awakening moment. And more people are going to be becoming more vocal about that. Right now we're seeing a lot of people having to deal with their shadow work, which I'll link my video on that in this video so that you can check it out. Especially for those who have a lot of deep healing that needs to be done. If you are going through an ascension process, which is an opening of your mental, emotional, spiritual being, it can be very destructive and very stressful process to go through. and things will start happening that you can't explain, but you'll have this innate knowledge starting to come to the surface. And with that happening on more of a global scale, we're going to see a lot more people really insisting on change. I think it was yesterday, I think one of the Twitter accounts affiliated with Anonymous was releasing a lot more information as to how our governments have been so corrupt and destructive to society. And this horrendous criminal organization happening. And we know this is part of our reality in present day society right now. We know this with Jeffrey Epstein. And with everything that happened and has come to light as a result of that, from politicians to celebrities to all of these people who were connected with him and connected with his girlfriend, who were participating, encouraging, and assisting with pedophile rings and the sale of children and participating in human trafficking and the illegal harvesting of human organs and all of these things that has allowed people in positions of power to just obtain astronomical amounts of wealth through illegal black market and morally, ethically horrendous ways. And this is happening on a global scale. And that's very disturbing. It saddens me actually that more people aren't talking about this because it is a very important issue. But I think as more and more people become aware and more people are having this ascension, aha, mindset opening moment, we're going to start seeing a lot of change happening. Path of the Gods, sorry. Relics of Lemuria. Tree of Souls. The Meditation. Open Like the Lotus, which is one of my favorite flowers. And Dawn Watcher. So, with the Path of the Gods, I see not so much the politicians or the people currently in power, but I see through this collective organization coming to fruition of regular everyday citizens from various walks of paths, giving not only how they perceive the world, but working together to rebuild a new one. Because we see decisions, meetings, and future plans, and I feel that it is going to be mainly up to civilians, regular everyday people, to actually start this drastic movement of change. Because remember, we may not have any control whatsoever over who becomes elected president, but we control every other person who gets put into an elected position. We can control who we put in those positions of power, And we can control the kind of people that they are. If we keep electing in these perpetual problematic politicians who say one thing and then do the other thing behind all of our backs, stab everyday citizens in the back. I mean, right now, I have seen so much pandering from the Democratic Party, and it's insulting. It is absolutely insulting to all of us watching them who are taking a knee while wearing kente cloth to pander to the black community. Meanwhile, a lot of these politicians were in office when a lot of these oppressive laws were signed into law. So we can control that they get outed. It may mean that we take our power back and stop voting based off party. If there's a local politician or somebody locally that can garner a lot of support, vote them in. Get rid of the Democratic and Republican mindset that we only have two choices. We don't. But we all have to work together in order to see that actual change happen. The Relics of Lemuria, Fragments, Memory, and Reclaiming, which goes back to ancient knowledge coming back to the surface. When you go through an awakening process, it doesn't just open your mindset as to the collective nature of the world, but it also brings forth the ancestral knowledge that each of us carry within us from our ancient ancestors. I have done so many videos on my channel talking about how interwoven and alike we are in society, and how the predominant amount of knowledge and spirituality that we carry with us to today originated with our ancient ancestors. And that knowledge that they had back then still is within us and has carried down through millennia to modern day times. Tree of Souls, Collective Wisdom, Kinship Group, Library. So we see a lot of people opening up and learning, taking time to educate themselves, taking time to listen to people with perspectives that are different from their own, taking time to really hear one another and communicate that information with as little hostility as humanly possible. Let's be honest here, we're still always going to have people who are butting heads and being nasty to one another. Unfortunately, that is part of human nature that I really wish didn't exist. But I get the feeling from this collective body of people, it will be more of a discussion than an argument. Meditation, in order for a lot of people to get through this process, meditation is going to be key. Now, there are many different forms of meditation. I know when we all think of meditation, it's listening to a meditative track, laying down or sitting there, and just allowing yourself to try to, relax, enter a meditative state. But everyone has different forms of meditation. For some people it's music, be it singing or creation of some kind, painting, writing, poetry, all of these different forms, they can be a form of meditation. So meditation isn't just one thing, it is whatever helps you open and expand your mind and focus your energy and enter a relaxed state. Open like the lotus, flowering spirit, revelation, and maturity. We're going to see a lot more people leaving behind childish mentality of me, or narcissistic mentality. I really hope this happens faster than slower. I would really love to see this happen like overnight, but I know that would be a pipe dream. But also keep in mind that lotus does not bloom unless it has roots buried deep down in the mud. And much like a phoenix, it rises out of the muck to become this beautiful flower. And that takes not only hard work, but struggle as well. So yes, we are seeing more people struggling, but in the long run, it's going to cause a maturing of society, and it's going to actually cause people to do their shadow work and this opening of awareness. And then we have Dawn Catcher, Caretaker, Guardian, Support. I see in general more and more people starting to become much better caretakers, not only of one another, but of the planet, which, let's be honest, is long overdue. One aspect of the protests that have currently been going on that has moved me so much is when things are going wrong during the protests. You see the protesters helping one another. When they have been tear gassed, you see them all coming in to try to help clear the person's eyes who's affected by the tear gas. If someone's been injured, people have been helping them medically or getting them medical assistance. We've been seeing this collective mentality starting to come back into society. And I have a feeling that this is going to become a much wider thing that's going to start happening even outside of protesting. But this recognition of each person walking this planet, we are all interrelated. Even if we are not blood related, we all come from the same root origins. We are all one people. So what happens to one person happens to us all. When one person is hurt, we're all hurt. When one person is angry, we're all angry. And it's up to us to shift this society to being less about the individual and more about the whole. I'm not saying don't care about yourself and don't take that time to refill your cup so that you can continue giving, but I see a society happening where it's less focused around greed and selfishness to expanding to a more communal and helping your fellow man just not only survive but thrive. I feel one more. Homeward travel, completion, reunion, return. With that happening, society as a whole is going through this huge, massive shift. And that return to not only that tribalism, but that return to the collectiveness mentality is going to help us all universally progress. So anyway, I hope this reading has given some information. I'm sorry if there were moments of repetitiveness. I'm sure there were. It's very late. I'm very tired, and but I wanted to try to get this message out. It's one that's been long overdue for me to convey. And let's just all do our best to work together as a society, help one another out, help this world become a better place, not just for us, but for the generations to come. And let's all do our best to make a concerted effort, not just to help one another, but to help our planet and be better caretakers, not just of our fellow man, but of this blue and green ball spinning through space that is our only home. Because if we can't work on fixing what we have and making it better, how can we look to other planets or other worlds to expand upon? Because all we're going to do is carry the bad habits that we started here to any new world. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this may have given some insight. And if you have any questions, concerns, requests for readings, any of that, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, I wish you the brightest of blessings and blessed be.